Pats in New England. Now, not only did the Pats lose the game, they lost one of their star tight ends, Aaron Hernandez. He had a high ankle sprain early in the first half, was lost for the rest of the game, so were the Pats. Patrick Peterson for the Cards had a brilliant game, was running, played both offense and defense, was running Wildcat options, and also had an INT. 2 minutes left to go in the game. Cards fumble the ball. New England has one more shot at a field goal to actually win it, but blew it. Buddy Shankter left, and the Pats lost 20-18. The Pats were not losing two straight at home, even if it was Chicago, big divisional game. After a scoreless first quarter, Aaron Rodgers took over, 13 points, and Chicago couldn't do much. They had 168 yards total offense for the whole game and looked kind of at a sink. Aaron Rodgers had a big game, 219 yards, a TD, and an INT. Pack win. Warriors started the season 0-2 after losing to Carolina on the road. Killer Cam, huge game. 253 yards through the air. On the ground, 71. 2 TDs to go along with that. Now, Breeze, on the other hand, very shaky. Threw for a pick six early in the first half was the turning point. Carolina's running game exploded. 219 yards after that very, very poor performance last week. The Saints are looking for that defense to come around because it's getting ugly in the Big Easy. Sunday night, Detroit versus San Francisco. Candlestick Park. Detroit didn't even show up. Couldn't score a touchdown until 2 minutes left in the game. San Francisco's defense was amazing. On offense, Vernon Davis was a beast. 5 catches for 73 yards and 2 TDs. And Detroit is looking for answers. The Chargers beat up on the Titans and won by 28 points. Phillip Rivers threw for 289 yards, 3 TDs, and an interception, while the running game was tremendous. Rumbling and tumbling for 131 yards, while Tennessee's was the opposite. Their star running back, Chris Johnson, 8 attempts for 17 yards. Money well spent. The Jets led early in Pittsburgh, but couldn't produce in the second half. The Steel Curtain didn't allow a point in the third or fourth quarter. All the while, Big Ben was slinging. Chucked for 3 TDs, including a bomb to Mike Wallace, a 37-yard bomb at that. Now, Wallace finished the game with 5 catches for 79 yards. Both the Jets and Pittsburgh start the season 1-1. Sam Bradford outdueled Robert Griffin III in a shootout in St. Louis. Bradford threw for 310 yards, a TD, and he also threw a pick in a 31-28 win. Now, RG3 looked sharp, had an 11-point lead early, but just couldn't produce in the fourth. Didn't score a point. And the Rams D looked good. They were scrappy, weren't giving up many first downs, and it was a beautiful thing. Rams win, first win of the season at home. Jeff Fisher's first win as head coach. After a big opening week win, Dallas went into Seattle and laid an egg. They were awful on special teams, fumbling the ball, had a punt blocked that was returned for a touchdown, and they were trash on offense. Unlike the Seahawks, who ran the ball extremely well, Marshawn Lynch rumbled for 122 yards and a TD, while Russell Wilson was solid in his first start at home, threw for 151 yards and a TD, no picks. Seahawks win. CJ Spiller is an animal. After being the lone bright spot in the Bills' Week 1 loss, the Clemson alum was at it again, rumbling for 123 yards, 2 TDs, and an absolute romping of Kansas City. Dwayne Bowe for Kansas City had a nice game receiving, 102 yards and 2 touchdowns, but couldn't really compare to the Bills. Fitzpatrick didn't make many mistakes, didn't get a lot of throws, but was precise with his decision making and the Bills came out with the victory. The Dolphins took care of business at home, spanking the Oakland Raiders 35-15. The Dolphins took care of business at home, spanking the Oakland Raiders 35-13. Miami was led by Reggie Bush, who had a couple monster runs. The first was for 23 yards and a touchdown, and the second, a 65-yard scamper to the house, put the game out of reach. Now, Oakland had their own troubles running the ball, only ran for 29 yards in all. Where's Darren McFadden at? I don't know. Ryan Tannehill picked up his first win as NFL quarterback. Congrats to him, as the Dolphins also, obviously, pick up their first win of the season. The Jags got murdered by the Houston Texans. Arian Foster ran wild, 110 yards and a TD. Blaine Gabbert, the starting quarterback for Jacksonville, was awful. Threw for 33 yards on 7 attempts and was replaced by Chad Henne. Wow. Adam Pac-Man Jones returned a punt 81 yards in Cincy's 34-27 win over the Cleveland Browns. Andy Dalton looked sharp and accurate, throwing 24 of 31, 318 yards, and 3 TDs. Now, Cleveland clawed back, made it close, and they were led by Trent Richardson. The Bama boy had a huge run, 62 yards for a TD, and he also caught a touchdown pass. Ran for over 100 yards, but wasn't enough to beat a tough Cincy team. The Eagles are unreal. Who else can turn the ball over 4 times against the Baltimore Ravens and still win? Vic, after his 2 interceptions and fumble, was pretty good. You know, he ran in the winning touchdown, but it was pretty much Baltimore's fault that they lost. Couldn't produce in the fourth quarter, only had 2 field goals. Ray Rice ran the ball well. He ran for 99 yards, but they were definitely lacking the magic they showed in week 1. That no-huddle offense wasn't doing much, and give the Eagles D some credit because they did shut them down. Eagles win 2-0. Andrew Luck won his first game as an NFL quarterback, beating the Minnesota Vikings. Now, Indy was up. The Vikings came back. Christian Ponder chucked a touchdown pass with under a minute to go to tie the ball game. Everybody's thinking OT. No. Luck comes back on the field, gets the Colts into field goal range. Vinatieri comes out, nuts one, and breaks the Vikings' hearts. You know, breaks every fan's heart, too. But you got to be happy for Luck, who had a disappointing first week, came back, played well, but Christian Ponder threw for more yards and looked just as good as Luck. So, they're on the way up. Eli Manning threw for over 500 yards against the Bucs. This game was crazy. Amazing catches by both Vincent Jackson and Mike Williams of Tampa Bay. And they were leading 27-16 to start the fourth quarter. And you thought, you know, this game's over. Then Manning puts on a show, scoring 24 points in the fourth quarter, including an 80-yard strike to Victor Cruz, who gave him the salsa. Giants win. After the game, Tom Coughlin yelled at the Bucs head coach too, which was pretty hilarious. So it was a nice capper to the day. In the Monday nighter, it was the Broncos and Falcons in A-Town. Peyton Manning's first ever road game as a Bronco was something to forget. He choked. 3 interceptions in the first half put Denver in a hole that they just couldn't climb out of. Matt Ryan, on the other hand, played excellent. 219 yards, chucked for 2 TDs. One was to his favorite target, Rodney White. He had 8 catches for 102 yards in the 27-21 win. The Broncos did come back in the fourth. Their defense played well. Got a couple 3-and-outs, but Denver just was too far down. Peyton came back. He scored 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. So it was close. It was looked like it was going to be something special. But then the defense kind of slipped. Atlanta got 2 or 3 first downs, ran the clock out, game over. Oh well. I'm sure Peyton will bounce back.